All right, I believe the what? It's streaming on Facebook now.
We're going. All right, how you doing, everyone? Welcome to this week's webinar. Um, Today we're going to be talking about mindset. Um, Stephan Joseph is going to take us through some things regarding that, but Stephan had a little bit of a different idea for how we should structure today's webinar. And since I'm the one that always typically takes the ropes, I'm actually intrigued. So Stephan's going to take over real quick. Stephan is going to tell you guys what he has in store for me and questions and for you all today, and we'll go from there.
Appreciate it, William. All right, guys, my name is Stephan Joseph. I'm the Director of Personal Development for Realty Solution and the Director of Sales for Lead Source Management. It's been working for William for a while. Just been a real privilege and honor, and and work with Luis Garibay. You guys know him, top 10 in his metro. Just a fantastic dude. So that's who we are, and what we're going to get into today is being that I've done the training for a lot of the realtors for Realty Solutions, over 100 agents, ran across the number one thing is mindset, right? Like, Stephan, look, I honestly, if I'm being real with you, because I have these one-on-one conversations, hour-long, talking through, I'm having trouble just picking up the phone. I gotta be real with you. I get in my own head. I get in my own way. And then other people, like the way I'm coming across is sort of turning people off, or, what is that? So I think talking about the mindset. So I'm going to go over a couple things on mindset right up front. Then we're going to do kind of the interview format. William's story is incredible. And I think after I kind of go through my piece, how that ties in with his journey, I think is going to be really of value, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is, I just want you to picture something, all right? The room that you're in, let's pretend there was a 200-pound rock in the middle of the room. And I was like, hey, Luis, why don't you move that 200-pound rock? You'd say, why? You're crazy. That's just a stupid thing to do. And if I was like, all right, listen, man, all right, let's do it like this. Move that 200-pound rock from here to the other side of the room, and there's $90,000 in it for you, right? You'd be like, okay, well, I haven't worked out today, but let's try it out, right? Now, if I additionally said, Luis, good news, bad news. Bad news is where you're standing right now, it's structurally unsound. That rock is causing the problem. I need you to move that rock to the other side of the room. And by the way, if you do that, there's $90,000 on the other side of it, other side of the room, okay? So think about that. Where you're standing is structurally unsound. Got to move that rock. On the other side is $90,000. Now, you'd have to be suicidal or just stupid not to want to even try, okay? When we're talking to clients, guys, this is a situation a lot of them are in. They see that 200-pound rock as everything that it takes to actually get a home. They don't want to go through pre-qualification. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to go through all that in the rigmarole and you getting in their business and everything else. They don't want to do it. So if on a given day, you have not explained to them both the value and the peril that they're in. What is the peril that they're in? Well, the peril that they're in is where they're standing right now is kind of structurally unsound financially. They're giving money to their landlord every month. I like to call it the love letter to the landlord, okay? Every month they stroke that love letter to the landlord, and that $90,000 is on average what the rent is. If you look at the average person rents about 5 years, and they spend about $90,000 that gets flushed down the drain, that's completely gone. So what I'm saying is when you're talking to these clients, right, you have to understand where they're coming from. You're asking them to do something they absolutely don't want to do. But when you explain to them and you illustrate to them how that rent is hurting them and why there is a reward at the end of it for their future, for their family, wouldn't they like that $90,000 back in their pocket in equity, for their future, for their kids and all that kind of stuff? That right there is something I want to hit right away on thinking about what it is you're actually doing when you're talking to clients, where they're at in their own mindset, what they're struggling with. The other thing I want to talk about is there's a couple of different kinds of salespeople, right? One of them is a person who has a lot of confidence, right? And they have no conscience whatsoever. We all know that guy, right? He doesn't care whose throat he's cutting, but man, he's going to make all the calls. He's going to be out there. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to be everything else. He has lots of confidence. Guy has no conscience. Nobody wants to be that guy. I mean, their businesses don't last, a decade. They can't hand that on to their kids. It's going to blow up, right? The other person is really terrible at sales. They have a clear conscience, great person, but they have no confidence. They don't know what kind of value they have. They don't understand how they're helping people. They don't understand that their clients are hurting right now and could get eaten up by that other fool who has all the confidence is going to screw them over, right? They haven't really thought through their value proposition. The third kind is the kind we want you guys to be, right? And we're going to talk about that. It's the kind of salesperson William is. Hopefully I am. I know that Luis is. And all of us, you got to have a clear conscience. You got to have a ton of confidence, right? And how do you manage that? You know you're doing the right thing. You've written out, you've thought about how it is I add value to these clients, right? You've thought about their life. You sat there and thought about, this person's life in 5 years. They've been renting for 5 years. What's it going to mean for their kids? What's it going to mean for their financial future? What's it going to mean for them, right? And so I want to really hammer in on that, starting off about you need to have clear conscience and a ton of confidence, right? And the way to get there, like I said, writing out your value proposition and everything. So those are two things I wanted to hit on the top. And I want to get into a little bit of William's story and William's history. Some other things I want to touch on today is finding your area of competence, and that kind of thing. So William, I wanted to bring you in on this, man. If you don't mind, because a lot of people, they know you're successful, they know you're killing it, but they don't really know where you started. So how did you get into the sales game? What were you doing originally in sales? We can see you waving. I can't hear you talking.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm over here talking. I told Stephan I was going to do this for just a brief moment. I am guilty of not having the proper mic setup and video setup because I don't do a whole lot of videos. Most of my webinars are training, so you don't want to see my ugly face on video. I didn't realize until today that it's extremely dark, so all you can see is me waving. But I promise you, by the time we do another webinar, I'm going to have a backlight so you guys can see me and I can be on camera. For now, though, the darkness is just a distraction, so I'm going to turn the camera off and answer these questions for you guys and hope you guys get a lot out of this webinar today. Stephan, go ahead and re-ask me that first question again.
So I was going to say that, sometimes it takes people a while. That's when it's gone on a real talk level, how people find themselves in real estate. How did you find out your area of competence and everything? And, what led you there, right? So I was going to ask you, where did you start off in sales? What led you from there to even considering real estate? How did you jump in?
Oh, wow. You're taking me back.
I'm taking you all the way back, man.
All right. So what a lot of people don't know about me, and I am not a bashful or shy or the type of person who gets embarrassed by things. So if you guys haven't seen or heard this on other webinars before, you'll hear it now. I didn't finish high school. I was not a great kid. I was, I'm statistically supposed to be in prison right now, but, and I almost got there. But it wasn't until a couple of chain of events happened that sent me to Gary Job Corps. I don't know if a lot of you guys know what that is, but it's a place. It's a kind of a trade school that some judges force kids to go to and some kids go to on their own. So it's mixed with good and bad. And, fast forward a year, I got my GED. I finished a trade in HVAC that I never used.
That right there, William, is exactly what I want to hit on. So this is you're right at the core of it. So you had a trade. You went to school for something. A lot of realtors went to school for something, and you discovered that wasn't it. What made you not be Mr. HVAC? Why are you not installing trains right now?
Well, the idea was, I was going to go and go to college or go to a technical college after I left Job Corps, and then try to get some work in the HVAC industry while I went to school. That's not exactly how it happened. I ended up at a technical school in Waco. And I ended up going for web design there because tech was always something I liked, and I never fixed an AC after that school. and I ended up working for Dell. Dell had a small shop down there, for sales, and I interviewed with them 7 times, believe it or not, 7 times in 6 months. They rejected me every single time.
Wow.
I kept going because it's Waco. I mean, there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah.
Other than like telemarketing call centers, and then there was Dell, right? Or work at a restaurant, right? 7th time, the duo that was interviewing me said, you're persistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'm very persistent. They were like, you don't have any sales background. I'm like, give me a chance. You can't get sales background if you don't get a chance.
Right.
And they liked that, so they hired me. Anyway, fast forward a few years, rep of the quarter, 9 quarters in a row.
These are big deals at Dell, right? I'm going to cut you off, but you're not talking about selling me an individual laptop.
No, this was the home sales department. So this was individual laptop. It was churn and burn, 100 calls a day.
Wow.
On the queue for people calling in.
Wow.
Fast forward some years, rep of the quarter, 9 quarters in a row. Woo. I end up getting an offer in corporate, and my by now wife of 10 years, been together 15.
Nice.
I met two months before I got the offer to leave, and she came with me. But ended up in Round Rock. And from there, I'm going to make this legit, long story short. I worked for Dell for about 13 years total, opened up my own tech company, sold it, non-compete, and then I had to figure out what I was going to do from there. So I decided, well, let me be like my big sister and go into real estate.
And something you've said to me before is you and I have a very similar mindset, because I've worked in corporate America in the past. You literally soaked up every training that they gave you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I never understand it, like all of my peers at Dell, and I think this is really where it ties into mindset, right? They were there. It seemed like everybody there just was waiting for their next paycheck. And I get it. We work for money, right? But I don't want to just be content. I don't want to just make 40 grand or 50 grand a year. I want to grow, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to every server training, every business ethics training, every, whatever the training was that Dell offered. I mean, they paid companies a lot of money to come in.
That's right.
And train people on these things. And everybody was, I don't want to go. Oh. So whether it was voluntary or mandatory, I was there.
And here's what I want to highlight on that, guys. Not to cut you off, William, but a lot of you guys have second jobs, right? You have opportunities to get training where you're at. You're like, well, it's not even real estate related. It doesn't matter. The point is you're sharpening your skills. There's professional training. Do you feel like those skills you learned at Dell translated over to your next career in real estate?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you know what? 90% of the business knowledge I have today, I learned from that company.
Right.
And I say 90% because the other 10% you don't learn until you fail, and try again.
Right.
Right. Until you continue to try and you figure stuff out on your own. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it was for me when I entered real estate. Mm-hmm. Right. When I entered real estate, I was no longer the rep of the quarter and the guy that was selling 190% of his quota every quarter and kicking ass. Right.
Right.
I was now a green fish agent, whatever you want to call a new agent, right? I was no better than the rest and struggling to find my first deal. Right. I worked so long for Dell. Fortunately, I had a good quote unquote sphere of influence. I do not advocate for going out and bombarding your sphere of influence. That's not something I actually am against, by the way, just FYI. I know a lot of you are taught to do that. But, I went into this, you guys know Doug Laney. He was the first lender I ever worked with. He's now like family to me. And we would look at these different marketing avenues, and we went down the Zillow path, and we went down the path of, I'm just going to leave a bunch of the other names out of this, but a lot of the other companies out there, and we got nothing in return for the most part. Believe me, it wasn't due to lack of follow-up.
Right.
We worked. We got a couple deals out of it, but nothing that would justify the cost.
Right. So one thing I want to jump in. We don't want to cut you up, but I want to highlight something that you're saying without saying here, which is that you went from being top rep, and it's not like you started in real estate and you were just same thing, murdering it. Because I want to emphasize this, guys, because the thing is, the number one reason people get into real estate is they don't want to work for the man anymore, right? Okay? It's also the number one reason 85% of realtors fail out of the business in the first 5 years. Mm-hmm. So this first part of his story is super key. If you're just starting out, been a couple years in or whatever, and it's not going your way, I just want you to perk your ears up. So you're saying you started in, you didn't have a sphere of influence to really work. That wasn't your thing. You start going out doing online leads, not working out. Did you just give up and quit the industry? You started researching, is what it sounds like.
It was tough, and there were there were moments where I did consider walking away.
Right.
Just kind of felt like, okay, well, I'm not down and out yet, but let me step back and go back into the corporate world before I do get completely down and out.
Right.
But you know what? Doug was just like, dude, we can do this. Like, why don't we just figure out how to generate leads on our own? We can spend a lot less money. We can conserve our cash. That's when I really started sitting down and looking at things like, why is my marketing not working? Why are the things I'm doing not working? And what I came back to was I keep trying to follow the leader, and I keep trying to be like everyone else. And you know how you see, like, I'll give you a super, super live example right now.
Right.
The Popeyes thing, right? The Popeyes chicken sandwich thing. Every single agent on the freaking internet right now is posting up free chicken sandwich with the purchase of your new home, right? It's the same thing. It's that mindset. Let me copy what this agent's doing. And then a million agents are copying what everyone else is doing.
Right.
And the public sees this over and over and over and over again. And everybody's afraid to be different. Right? Like the stuff that I do. So I started doing different advertisements. I started doing things differently than my peers. Right? I didn't go after my sphere of influence. I didn't piss off all my friends by constantly asking them for business. There were a lot of different things that I just refused to do. And I just focused on my ads. I went out and surrounded myself with people that were successful. I know that sounds super, familiar because everyone says it, but that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. I mean, you mentioned Doug, right? Finding partners in the industry that are just as motivated, just as passionate as you are. And I'm going to interject a little bit of my own thing here because I think it dovetails with yours and it makes sense, So my background, financial advisor, I helped manage $30 million under management. I did the, choosing all that stuff, really successful and everything. Wanted to, though, work for myself. I worked for a big company. I won't name the bank, but they got themselves in some trouble for ethics. I saw it from the inside. I hated it. I wanted out, man, And I went through that, and I went through 2 other companies, the same ideas that William and I had, we shared. Now, I knew him for a couple of years also before I even started working with him, and I just loved his passion, honesty, everything else. I kept throwing the guy clients constantly because I'm like, he's just a dude. He's just a dude. And then, the thing is, the same ideas that we're implementing now in lead source management that are helping so many people, I had that stuff in my head, and I was trying to find somebody else that could even catch the vision, right? Like, it was in there. I had this stuff, and I tried it. I tried with a major bank. If I named the bank, you would know who it was. They didn't get it. They didn't have the follow-up. Try with another person. The guy didn't have the budget. They didn't have whatever. William posted an ad for a commission-only a call center position, basically, just calling leads, right? And I just sat there and I thought long and hard about what I wanted. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to work with a guy I know that's going somewhere. I'm going to work with a guy I know that's passionate, that's got vision, that believes in me, that I believe in him, and we can go somewhere, right? Little did I know how that was going to blow up in my own life. It's been life-changing for me, So I want to just jump in, kind of like how Doug was to William. William's been like that to me and other people too. And finding people like that, making sacrifices. I had people trying to recruit me all the time and always did. But you got to really think about who you want to work with that's going places, they're passionate, same mindset, and take a risk. You know what I mean? And dive in. So hopefully that's worked out for William well, working with me, but it's worked out for me working with him, so.
It's been all right.
Been all right.
No, but that's exactly right. But my point of that whole long-winded backstory, guys, is that
it's worked out for William well with me, but
it led me to where I'm at now, right? That persistence from Doug to keep me pushing on, like, no, let's figure this thing out, man. Like, it pushed me into trying different types of advertisements. Look, being different. Some agents, when I train them, they look at my ads and they go, "Oh, like what the hell? That looks completely different.
Right.
That looks completely like I don't like that. That's not my style. That's not my brand. Or that's not the way I want to have that look." And my response to them is, do you want to keep that awesome, pretty cursive writing that's not getting you any leads right now, or do you want something that's going to work and bring in leads? Because if your brand currently isn't bringing in the leads, then it's time to switch it up a little bit.
That's right.
Right. And when I say that, it's 50-50. Some people either they give me that, well, F you kind of thing, or some people kind of listen and they go, you know what, that's right. What I'm doing right now is not working.
And William, to that point, you are really selective about your partners. You're also selective about your clients, I've noticed.
I am very. I mean, I operate just kind of on a respect basis, right? And some agents unfortunately don't have, how do I say this? They don't have the luxury of being able to pick and choose what clients they work with in the beginning, because some of them, they're starving for business, so sometimes they'll take a beating from a client just to get that commission check. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, be selective. Don't work with people who are going to treat you like crap. But I get it. Some people need that paycheck. But as you continue to grow, you will be much more successful if you're able to just say, you know what, Susan, or whoever it is that's being rude,
it's always Karen.
Let's go with Karen. That's fine. Karen with the comb over. When you have the ability to pick and choose who you work with, because you only want to work with like-minded individuals or people who are not going to disrespect you, then you'll be able to actually grow better, grow faster, because you could not only just be have them as a client and have a professional relationship, but you could meet other like-minded people like them, i.e. their friends and their family, and grow yourself that way. And that's kind of how I've done it. I don't do a whole lot of marketing for the social agent. Pretty much all of my business comes word of mouth, and I stay extremely busy. And there are people that, I don't publicize it. I don't post in the group like, hey, I told such and such to F off today, right? I'd prefer not to ever have to tell people that or do that. But I do get those people that message me and ask me for information, and then they proceed to be extremely rude.
Right.
And I just kindly tell them, hey, I appreciate your inquiry, but you're not the kind of person that I want to work with. I treat people with respect, and you obviously can't do that. So good luck with your lead generation needs. And I part ways and I move on.
Can I ask you something about that? And I want to bring Luis in a minute here, because he's building that business and doing a phenomenal job. So I want to hear from him in a second. But so when did you, in your process, right? So you started real estate, you realized the leads sucked, you started innovating on leads, realized you can actually generate better leads than what was out there, started doing that, and then you started selling, right? I'm just curious on your mindset, like what was your approach that made you not give up about it? Because I'm sure you didn't. You told me before you had some late nights, man, trying to figure out this.
6, 7, 8 months until 4 a.m. with Doug on the phone trying to figure this stuff out and trying different targeting. And it's not just the targeting. It's not just the ad version. It's not just the graphic content. It's everything. It's the total package, right? I remember not too long ago, Luis was having an issue with an ad he put together, and it was just one issue.
Right.
It was simply the picture. That's all it was. Like he had everything else correct. What was it? Like he had a picture of a guy waving or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but
I remember.
And I changed the picture to something with much brighter graphics and a little bit more of just a catchy look. And I don't remember the exact results, Luis, but I'm pretty sure it kicked up pretty good after that change. It's little things like that I learned over time, and what to do and what not to do. The biggest difference is taking those risks of being different. Now, I'm not saying go out and post half-naked pictures of people, but don't be afraid.
The racy realtor.
Yeah, the racy realtor. Don't be Don't be different. You know, it's funny is that we have one of those that work for us at Realty Solutions. Um, I, I personally thought that video was awesome that she did, but anyway, um, so that's yeah, it was a lot of late nights, and it led me to where I'm at now. Like it's like a lot of people think that I sat down one day and said, "Hey, I'm going to develop the social agent," and I built this training program for the social agent.
Right.
This program, and I'm doing the quote unquotes that you can't see with my fingers right now. This program is not something that I set out to train people and charge people for. It was just something that I learned how to do over time, and people started figuring out that I was doing really well. And then, one person, like, I helped somebody online because they had a couple of questions. And then another person was like, hey, what are you doing with this? And then that person, oh, hey, that William guy helped me and he did great. And it just kind of snowballed into crap. I'm getting tons and tons of messages. I need to built the group. And there
Right.
are people that are still in the group that were there from the beginning. Like Justin Day, I just did some update stuff from him the other day. There's Carlos Evans. He was in the group, early on. I mean, he trained some of these people trained with me back in mid 2016, early 2017, when I was still using landing pages.
Right.
Louis Breckenridge, Joe Schuster, Ralph Robles. A lot of these people are still active in the group. And can kind of tell you, that's kind of how it's happened, and they've evolved with me. They've come back and retrained and moved over to lead ads from landing pages because lead ads became more of a leading factor in the lead generation space. But at the end of the day, it was all mindset and persistence. It was, I'm not doing well right now, but that doesn't mean I'm never going to do well.
Right. And was there, and I want to emphasize this, was there any outward indication? Like, in other words, it's not like you came from money that I know of. It's not like you had this massive degree and all this other stuff or any reason to think that you were going to be the person to blow up and do incredible things.
I didn't have any, I didn't have any of that stuff, man. I mean, we weren't dirt poor eating, rice and beans every day, but we weren't rich either. I mean, we had our moments, and I grew up half with my grandmother and partial with my mom. And we didn't live in the best neighborhood. We didn't have all the things that we could, that other people got handed to them. No, but, and again, my actions as a youth, almost sent me to prison.
Right.
And luckily I dodged that bullet, and that was when I decided to change everything. And again, it's mindset.
Right.
Unfortunately, my friend that I used to do bad things with, his mindset was he was going to continue to do what he wanted to do, and he paid the consequences for it.
Right.
And I decided that I was going to be a better person and make it out of where I was at and do things with myself. And that's what I set my mind to, and that's what I've done. Did I think I'd be where I'm at now? No, not even close. Like, my idea of success was I have my own apartment, maybe a car, and I'm able to pay my bills. That was success for me, right? Now my definition of success is, being happy and being able to take care of my family.
Right.
Whether, that's really all that matters to me is are my girls. And, they are the driving factor behind why I get up and do what I do every day. For, why people say, how do you take care of so many people with the customer service? I mean, it's hard. It's extremely difficult, but I do it because I enjoy, building those relationships, and it affords me the opportunity to do better for my family and just in the world in general.
Right. So that goes back to the fact that, having that clear conscience, because that you're going to do the right thing, you want to help people, and that confidence, because that confidence, the only way to get confidence is through experience. People tell you, they just pat you on the head, you're a good boy, you're a good girl. That's not how it works. The only way to get genuine confidence is through accomplishment. It's through hard work and effort. That's the only way you're ever going to build confidence. You know what I mean? It's not just repeating certain mantras or this or that. You got to try.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fail, get up, try, and then you'll build up confidence, because eventually you won't suck. Eventually you'll be pretty good. Eventually you'll be some of the best in the world if you just keep on going, you know?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
So, Luis, I want to bring you in, man, if you don't mind, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit. So you've not been in real estate for 25 years or whatever. You've been doing it how long? And tell me where you started. And again, like I said, I want to emphasize, I love how this guy treats people. He's always got a good attitude. You know, I've seen him in all kinds of situations. So I want to just bring him in on that. So how long you been doing it? How'd you build your business? What's your mentality on stuff?
Yeah, so I've been licensed. March of this year was 3 years, so like 3.5 years now. So I actually kind of fell into real estate. I didn't have any intentions of it. I was actually claims adjusting right before I started in real estate, working 40 hours a week, was rehabbing a knee, and was going home at the end of the day and studying for my real estate license. And I think that all kind of ties back to what you're talking about, your mindset. I knew I wasn't happy doing claims adjusting, and I knew I wanted something different. And when I had an old boss talk to me about real estate, he pestered me for 6 months trying to get me to go meet with him and to talk about it. And finally I said, okay. So then we went and had lunch, talked about it. He showed me his pay stubs, what he had done for the 1.5 years prior to. And I was just like, man, this guy literally a few times in that 1.5 years had made what I would make in a year in a 2-month span. And at that point I knew in my mind, I was like, this is what I need for my family.
Right.
So I set my eyes to it, did all my studying, got all licensed and everything. And really the rest was history after that. Just kind of hit the ground running. Thankfully, he helped train me up, teach me how to write offers, all that kind of stuff. And just started putting it out there with my sphere. I'm not new to sales by any means. Ever since I was 14, I got my first job when I was 14. Worked my way up from vacuuming cars and washing windows at Jiffy Lube to doing sales for them. Top sales agent for them in the region. And I've sold life insurance, I've sold cars, sold cell phones, and done retention stuff. So that's sales. You name it, I've done it. And I just knew that building a relationship with people is how I was going to, base my business. Because if you take care of people, they take care of you. You treat them right, and you make sure that you're putting their needs in front of your own. The money is a byproduct. I've said that since day one to anybody that has asked me anything. The money is truly a byproduct, and I believe that wholeheartedly, because I take care of my clients. They take care of me. They refer their friends, their family, their coworkers, and everything else. Yep. And I just keep that at the front of my mind. I know I've got a goal. 45 years old, I want to be retired. I want to be traveling the world with my wife, sitting on a beach in Mexico or whatever it is.
Right.
And really what – having that goal in mind. And then I think at the same time is like, I look at every single person that I get a lead for, or I get referred to as, okay, my average sales price is X amount, and I make roughly $6,000 on each person. And so I think about it, okay, they've got a need that is there. And if I just serve that need and I help them, then at the end of it, there's a little bit of reward, right? And then that ultimately goes towards my end destination of being 45 years old, but just treating people the right way while you get there. And, it's proven to be right.
To pull out of what you just said, just to hit on some straight themes. I know I'm being repetitive, guys, but you've got to think about it. Talking about the right mindset, the clarity of the conscience. He partnered with somebody that was after his success, that would help him through those really early days. Some of you guys get your license and you want to do it all yourself, and you're out there drowning. You've got to be part of a brokerage, whether it be Realty Solutions or another brokerage, where there's people there that invest in you, right? And you got to be hungry and go after it. And you got to soak up the training. You got to go after it, but you got to have those partners that help you get going. You know what I mean? And
to piggyback off that, guys, it's not necessarily stating that you have to be on a team, because I've been a solo agent for the 3.5 years. He helped train me. He helped, know that I knew how to write the contract, what things to look at, how to word things, and that kind of stuff. But I've always been a solo agent. So by all means, I'm not saying you have to be part of a team, but find those people that want to lead you to starting your career the right way.
Right.
And then just always treat people, put their needs in front of yours. Not to toot my own horn, but if you do it, my results speak for themselves. I'm top 10 in my MLS. So I think I'm like 170 out of like 1,900 people. In my office, which has 120 people, I'm like number one in multiple categories: listing volume, listings taken to date, buyers closed to date, all these things. And I attribute that to the fact that I treat people the way that I would want to be treated when I'm in this situation. And I just know that from my upbringing, sounds like similar to Williams, is that I never had a solid home, and I know what it's like to be able to provide that now to my kids. So I want to be able to provide that to other people and know that, hey, they want to own a home, so I'm going to do whatever it is. If it takes me a year to help them do that, I don't care. I'm not going anywhere,
Right.
And I've got people right now that are a year and a half, 2 years ago first reached out to me that are just now being able to purchase a home because they had to fix credit, or maybe they had a BK back in the day, so they just got to the time frame to where they can purchase. That's okay.
Luis, you're definitely hitting on what we're going to cover next time, which is scripts and dealing with customers. And one of the favorite things you need to remember is saying to clients, that's okay. If they have a question, objection, I'm all about those long-term relationships. I mean that.
Absolutely.
Puts people at peace, puts people at mind. And we're going to go over that next time. Now, William, I'm not sure if you want to call it or not. I know you wanted to keep it around a half an hour. So I don't know if this is good or if there's more that we want to jump into, if Luis had more questions.
Honestly, guys, I'm just answering your questions. This webinar is a little bit different than the normal webinar, but I like it. I like the way it went, because we don't, typically we just talk about follow-up, or we talk about tips and tricks and things like that. But
Right.
mindset's an important thing, and
Yeah.
I'm happy that you decided to do this. And I don't tell my story a whole lot, but maybe there's people out there that want to hear it, and maybe there's people out there that could use that guidance.
Absolutely.
Right? So for anybody out there that has questions moving forward, if you ever need anything, you guys can come to me. You guys can come and ask me questions. Don't hesitate to reach out. Like I know I say that when I welcome the newest 100 people to the crew all the time, but seriously, don't hesitate to reach out and ask me a question. I mean, I've struggled. I've been there. I've made the mistakes, and if I can help somebody not make a mistake by helping them out, with a question that could steer them away from losing or doing bad, or could make them do better, I will absolutely be there to help you out. No problem at all. I think we should go ahead and cut it, because it is getting a little bit long.
Okay.
If any of you have any questions moving forward, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Stephan or Luis, Jennifer Bennett, Patrick Connell. The list goes on. My team is starting to get quite large now. Austin Young, right? If you guys have any questions about lead source management, which is our monthly managed service. If you have any questions about the social agent training, which is, the one-time training where you learn to do it on your own. If you have any questions about anything outside of business, feel free to message any of us and ask those questions. Again, guys, our webinars will be every other Wednesday, and we will try to make it about different topics. This one just happened to be mindset. Next week or the week after next will probably be,
Scripts.
Some type of follow-up or scripts, or
scripts, yeah.
Just something useful that can help you from the moment you get a lead until the moment that you close it down, or something that we can give you that can help you drive more business into your pipeline. That said, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. You guys have a great one, and until next time.
All right, man.
Take care, everybody.
All right, take care, fellas. Bye-bye.